It's been a little while since my last gameplay update video, and in that time, a ton of new features have been added to the global version of Blue Archive, many of which are spectacular quality of life changes. I've been waiting until this most recent patch to cover all of these new changes, and I am extremely excited to walk you through all the improvements and new game modes that have been added since my last gameplay video. Like all my videos, this will have timestamps all throughout it, so if there's a particular feature that you're interested in, feel free to skip around to relevant sections to find them. Without further ado, here are all of the newest game features in Blue Archive. The developers have now created a bulk growth option for both equipment and skills, which is incredible. Instead of individually leveling up each piece of equipment or each skill, you can now select this bulk growth option in the upper left corner of the leveling menu. And then you can choose how many levels to put into each equipment or each skill. This is an absolutely fantastic quality of life update, one that I highly appreciate for leveling up characters. As of this latest patch, you can now also click this option in the upper right-hand corner to automatically select choice tickets when leveling up your gear. Choice tickets are flexible, selectable rewards, and they can create specific tech notes, skill Blu-rays, artifacts, or equipment that you might need. Choice tickets have been a spectacular feature in the game for some time, but it was always a little cumbersome to select them because you had to toggle through multiple menus just to access them. Now, however, this new bulk growth feature allows you to automatically select those choice tickets without toggling through multiple menus, allowing you to quickly level up character skills or equipment without leaving the leveling screen. The only unfortunate thing about the bulk growth system is that it doesn't work on unique items, as unique items have specific friendship and material requirements to unlock them. As a result, if you want to level up a unique item, make sure to toggle off the bulk skill growth option to level up that unique item. At this point in time, only a small handful of characters even have unique items, so this issue is relatively uncommon, but I still wanted to mention it all the same, just in case you run into it while leveling characters. In addition to the bulk growth system, there is also a more optimized crafting system called Quick Craft, which lets you pre-select which nodes you would like the crafting chamber to prioritize. So if you've been looking to craft more tech notes, more gifts for students, or even more specific nodes, you can now specify that through the Quick Crafting menu. That being said, I'm still hesitant to call this new feature a complete win, because Quick Craft is still probability based, and it doesn't guarantee that whatever you request through the Quick Craft menu will always appear. You just have a higher chance of that node appearing. Apparently, the crafting chamber still has a mind of its own, so do be forewarned that you're still not guaranteed to craft the exact node that you want. But using Quick Craft will give you a much higher probability of creating what you actually want. If you want to use the Quick Craft feature, click on the Quick Craft button in the crafting menu, then select Settings to select which crafting materials and node you want the crafting chamber to prioritize. Just like with regular crafting, you can select additional nodes for the same crafting instance, but it will always be more resource intensive to use additional nodes like this. So for your average player, I would just suggest selecting one node for quick craft and then hitting the confirm button without adding any more nodes. Once you've set your quick craft preferences, you will be all set to go, and you can craft directly from the quick crafting menu moving forward. If you want to prioritize a different node or use different crafting resources, you can always change that at any time within the quick craft settings and simply overwrite the old settings. This newest patch also introduced some spectacular new filtering options for searching characters based on attack type, defense type, their role on your team, academy, weapons, and a ton more. In the past, there was only one menu that you could use to try and filter students, and you could only select one option at a time, whereas now you can select multiple options to filter for exactly what characters you need when you're creating teams or simply looking through your character roster. The only drawback I've found to this system and the old system is that it still doesn't have a great way to filter for special students. You still have to rely on attack type or terrain or defense type for filtering, and all special students, whether they do damage or not, will have specific attack and defense types. On a practical level, this means that if you try to filter for Mystic students, you will only be shown strikers and special students that have a Mystic attack type, which could mean that you might miss key characters who could be helpful for the mission that you're trying to run. My main advice here is to use the filters to find your on-field strikers, and then turn them off when looking through your special units, just to make sure that you don't accidentally miss someone. As of this most recent patch, Sonic has become an official damage type in the game, and it is super effective against anything with elastic armor. Characters with elastic armor have existed for a few patches, but this is the first time that a character actually deals sonic damage with their EX skill and their regular attacks. As a result, I wanted to briefly talk about how this new damage type works, particularly since we will start getting a lot more characters who deal sonic damage in upcoming patches. Although Sonic is super effective against elastic, it is also quite effective against Mystic armor, which means that Sonic characters will be great replacements for Mystic fights if you don't have enough Mystic characters. Interestingly, the Sonic damage table is rather similar to the Mystic one, as Sonic deals less damage against piercing enemies, and Explosive deals less damage against elastic. So the easiest way to think about Sonic damage is to think of it like Mystic Plus. All of the same damage restrictions that apply to Mystic also apply to Sonic. But Sonic will be super effective at elastic enemies and reasonably effective at Mystic enemies. So, when in doubt, just think of Sonic as Mystic Plus. On a different note, as of this latest patch, all players can now select titles for themselves, which are adorable name cards that commemorate achievements in the game. Titles will be displayed next to your name for other players to see, and they commemorate everything from finishing parts of the main story to completing side stories with academic clubs or reaching friendship level 20 with individual students. You can see which titles you've unlocked by going to your player profile in the upper left of the main homepage and then clicking the title option on your player card to select a title from there. If you're a late game player, you might have a lot of titles. And so my best advice is when you first open this up, just click again on the screen and it will automatically populate all of your new titles. It's a small thing, but it's a really cute feature to further personalize your profile in the game, which I think is lovely. Some of the loading screens in the game also now feature this helpful reference for different status effects in the game, which showcases how they are color-coded. I thought this reference was super helpful for understanding what these different colored icons mean during the course of a battle. In addition to all of this, the level cap has also been raised to 87, which is fantastic for late game players who wanted their characters to be a little bit stronger for missions, tactical challenge, and total assault. A few other big changes have also happened since I last made a gameplay update video, and I wanted to cover those here as well, in case you haven't seen them yet in the game, or you wanted more information for how they work. Whenever an event has reached its third run, it will now be archived for all players in this section of the homepage. This is a fantastic way to check out older events if you missed their first 2 runs. And if an event has an unlockable 1-star character that's associated with it, you can still obtain that 1-star character by completing the story of the archived event. Old guide missions are also included in this same section in this lower tab, and this is a great way to get extra resources and rewards that you might have missed earlier in the game. I am a gigantic fan of this new archival system, and it guarantees that every event will be run twice before joining this archive for the foreseeable future. There is now a feature in the game to skip battles during missions, which is one of my favorite quality of life improvements from the last few months. After selecting and placing your characters for a mission, you can now select this option in the lower right-hand corner to skip battles, which will label enemies as skippable or non-skippable. In practice, what this means is that when you engage with an enemy that is now labeled as skippable, a little fight animation will take place, and your score for that fight will be immediately determined without you having to actually play it out. Even though not all enemies are skippable, this is still an incredible feature, as it allows you to skip through fights that would be relatively easy to win otherwise, and it gets you closer to the actual boss of a level much quicker. I haven't been the biggest fan of Blue Archive's auto battle system in the past, but the fact that you can now select 3 EX skills for your characters to use at the beginning of a battle means that the auto battle system is forced to do what you want it to do. And that makes this skip battle feature so much better for mission clearing. That being said, the auto battle system is far from perfect, and your characters will definitely take some damage as you go through this. So be conscientious about this, make sure to still run healers or shielders, and anticipate that you might have to heal some of your characters once you go into the boss battle itself. In addition to regular missions, the Blue Archive developers have also created a skip battle option for tactical challenge, which is an unbelievably great feature. Tactical challenge is by far my least favorite game mode, as it strips control away from you as the player and makes you watch in agony as the auto battle system kills off all of your characters. But with this new skip battle option, I no longer have to watch my poor characters collapse because of the auto battler's terrible decision making. Now I can hit a button and immediately get the lose or win option, which has made me infinitely more likely to even bother with this feature for the game. A brand new game mode called Grand Assault has been added to Blue Archive, which you can think of as an expanded version of Total Assault. Whenever Grand Assault is available, you will be able to fight 3 different versions of the same Total Assault boss. with each of them having different armor types. At the time of writing, these Grand Assault bosses will have explosive, piercing, or mystic armor, and you must assemble teams to defeat each of them in order to get a score for the season. This is a bit of a tall order, as some bosses definitely work better with certain armor types versus others. But thankfully, the developers have acknowledged this and have tried to avoid making this game mode too punishing. For one thing, every day you accumulate 1 ticket per boss, for a total of 3 tickets per day. But these do not expire until the end of the Grand Assault period, meaning you can save your tickets and take your time defeating the bosses as you strategize and play through the mock battles. Once you have defeated a boss at a given difficulty, you can also sweep that stage without needing to replay it every day, which is another small mercy if you don't want to fight the same boss over and over again. In addition, you can use the exact same team for multiple Grand Assault damage types, which is great if you have a limited character roster and simply need to clear each boss. That being said, assistant students from other players will still work the same way they always do, so do be careful about this before you make your runs. Admittedly, there are still some hiccups with this game mode, as some bosses were not designed to be playable with different damage types. It's one thing to defeat an explosive Bina, as there are many different characters who can debuff and exploit Bina's weaknesses, but defeating an explosive Hod, on the other hand, is pain incarnate, and I'm not looking forward to that. As a result, do be aware that some Grand Assault runs will be suboptimal, but I'd still recommend giving it a shot regardless, even at the lowest levels, just so that you can get some Grand Assault coins to spend. The Grand Assault shop has some fantastic rewards, including multiple characters, EX skill Blu-rays, as well as a 10-pull ticket. Do be careful to check the expiration date if you do snag this 10-pull ticket, as it often only lasts a month. So before you grab it, make sure that there's characters you're actually interested in that are coming up soon, so you can make the best use of that 10-pull. Outside of Grand Assault, the regular Total Assault mode has also gained a new difficulty in the last few months, which is appropriately named Torment. Unfortunately, this new difficulty mode has made it even harder to obtain platinum, as you now need to run Insane or Torment to guarantee a spot there. As a side note, there is only a 200 pyroxene difference between platinum and gold in Total Assault, and the gold trophies look a lot nicer in your cafe, so don't feel obligated to run Insane or Torment. Your sanity and time is worth something, so only run these higher levels if you really want those extra rewards. If you do want to grind through Insane to try and get a platinum trophy, I would highly recommend checking out the content creator Kazu, who makes hands down the best Total Assault guides I have ever seen. He has both video tutorials and extremely comprehensive documents that you can look over to make these fights less miserable. Even if you won't run Insane or Torment, his videos are incredibly helpful for team crafting as well as boss mechanics. And he also has a criminally low subscriber count for how much work he puts in, so please check out his videos if you want to better understand Total Assault bosses or how to grind the higher difficulty levels. Next, I wanted to mention that Bounty and Scrimmage tickets have changed over the last few patches. Instead of having specific tickets for each bounty and scrimmage type, they have now been combined into generic bounty tickets and generic scrimmage tickets that you can use however you like. I'm a little split on this update, as it does make it easier to dump resources into exactly the school or the artifacts that you want. But I did like how the old system forced you to spread out your resources, making it so you were never truly deficient in any one school. With this new system, I would suggest rotating through the schools throughout the week, just to try and spread your tickets around and keep maintaining resources for all of them. But it is also completely okay to just spend all your tickets on the same bounty levels or scrimmage levels over and over. If you have a lot of students you need to level up from those academies, or if there are some artifacts you need to grind for. As a quick aside, something I didn't mention in my last gameplay update is that every time you run bounties now, you will also be given bounty coins, which you can spend in the bounty shop at the bottom of this menu. A small rotating selection of artifacts and EX skill Blu-rays are available here, which is a great way to obtain certain resources for leveling up characters. Admittedly, I do wish that this bounty shop was just incorporated into the main shop, just like everything else is, as it can sometimes be easy to miss the bounty shop when you're quickly running through your dailies. But I do think that this shop is a great feature for the game, especially when you'll be running bounties frequently and can accumulate a lot of coins for this shop as a result. One last note before we finish up this video. I've mentioned this in some of my other gameplay videos, but I wanted to make sure to mention it here too, just to cover all my bases. This should be the last time that I bring this up, but in case you haven't seen this in my other videos, it has been confirmed that expert permits cannot be used to unlock new limited characters. The expert permit shop is just for raising the star ranking of those limited characters if you already have them, which is a little bit of a bummer. But it's still a nice way to level up characters without having to spend LFs to do so. Thank you again to everyone who looked into that and helped to clarify that confusion. I've added pinned comments to my previous videos to try and clarify that as best as possible, but I wanted to bring that up one last time here, just to be extra safe. And with that out of the way, we have officially reached the end of this video. I hope that this was a helpful overview for all of the newest features and some of the older ones that I hadn't covered yet from the last few patches. As we get more large updates, I'll periodically release more bite-sized videos like this to cover everything that's been released and to share my suggestions for new game modes and content that you might encounter. Up to this point, I've mainly focused on retrospective Blue Archive content on this channel, but as a thank you for hitting 10,000 subscribers, I'll be creating and hosting a brand new stream series starting next week, which will be called Kivotos Quarterly. It will be a Blue Archive news show, which will happen every 3 months, and I'll talk about upcoming characters and events to look forward to. I'll still keep making these gameplay updates, as well as Lore Archive and other Blue Archive streams, but I wanted to give something back after all of the kindness that you have extended to me, and Kivotos Quarterly is my gift to all of you, to thank you for supporting this channel. So please look forward to that in a week and a half. Thank you so much for watching this video and for your extremely kind support over the last year. Look forward to more fun Blue Archive videos, gacha gaming, indie gaming, and much more in the many months to come.